Thank you, Carol, for the introduction. The next aspect of diversity that we're going to speak about is that of communication. Communication is a transactional process between individual group members. It's personal and symbolic. It also, the shared meaning is agreed upon by all group members, and it involves relationship and dimensional content. Another important part of communication is listening. We often think of communication just as like I am sitting here talking with you, but it also involves listening. Listening is how a person or group member perceives a message, deciding on the message's meaning, responding to the message, and how it interprets the message. Communication diversity can be along many different lines. There are racial and ethnic, gender, age, and culture differences in how we communicate. Communication on culture and communication differences regarding culture. Americans and Western Europeans tend to be individualism. Their whole presentation is very individualistic. They tend to be clear and direct, argumentative at times. They have a low power distance and a low context in communication. What they say is what they mean. Whereas Latin Americans and Asians, their communication is based on collectivism of the group. They value group harmony, they're subtle and tentative, and they have a high context message. So what you're hearing, you have to take in the cultural sense of really what they mean, because it's very important. Racial and ethnic differences of communication are between African Americans and Western Europeans and Americans are very different. African Americans tend to be verbally expressive. They value sharing, and they're emotional. They're interactive, and they have a very close personal space. And they have eye contact when they're speaking to everybody. They're actually looking in their eyes. Whereas Western Europeans and Americans tend to have value privacy. They're not emotional. They're underreactive. They have direct. Whatever they say is very direct. They have a wide personal space, and they make eye contact when listening to the individual, which is a difference. There are also communication is also different among males and females, or gender differences. Males value instrumental behaviors. They're task-focused. They're forceful and aggressive in their presentations, where females tend to have expressive behaviors. They're relationship-focused, and they're less forceful and less assertive. And they value the group. They want a group orientation. Generational differences, believe it or not, we all communicate and we differently depending on our ages. Millennials tend to be open-minded, and this is the age from like 20 to 30. Open-minded, tolerant, they're very up on technology, they're optimistic, innovative, and they network and collaborate. Whereas Generation Xers, which are 30s and 40s about, are independent thinkers. They value relationships, they're tolerant, they're comfortable with technology, and they're comfortable with changing, okay, different changes. Where baby boomers, who are those like in their 50s and 60s, they're confident, they're willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done and whatever it takes to keep the group moving along. They like to challenge the old way of doing business, and they will take on big projects all of the time. This concludes my presentation on communication, but as you can see, diversity in a group follows along many different lines. It is important to understand that diversity can be seen in leadership styles, learning styles, personality styles, and communication styles. So it's important that we understand all these when we're relating to different group members and to getting our tasks done. So with this note, I'd like to sign off for my group: John, Lynn, Carol and Tony in all of our perspective parts. And I hope you learned a little something about diversity when working in a group and how it impacts the way a group performs and works together. Thank you.